What happens when the US dollar is no longer the only currency that matters in global trade? Well, we're here. For 80 years, the US dollar has been the foundation of global power, backing trade, keeping imports cheap, and giving America control over sanctions. But in 2025, that power is being challenged in ways we've never seen before. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and more, are no longer just emerging countries. They've expanded and they've added new members, including Egypt, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Iran, and Indonesia. And they're attracting even more countries, including Nigeria, Uganda, Algeria, and Zimbabwe. This isn't just an economic club, okay? This is a new global South super bloc, reshaping trade, resources, and power. And it has major implications for Africa and Americans who've been asking me, is it time to diversify or relocate? In this video, I'm going to tell you why, and personally, I have done it, and why I think you should too, and how you can absolutely do it as well. Welcome to my channel. My name is Ashley. On my channel, Ashley in Africa, you get to hear me building a life on the continent of Africa. I help people diversify their real estate and financial investments in Eastern and Southern Africa with on the ground due diligence, a process that most people don't even know exists, right? With legal, immigration, estate, and tax planning efficiencies, most investors do not know exists, but it's here. And if this type of content resonates with you, be sure to like this video and share it with someone else who would find value in it. So, I covered BRICS 3 years ago, and I started making this move before BRICS was a major headline. Now we're seeing these tariffs happen, the US pushing tariffs on countries and basically weaponizing the US dollar, and the BRICS bloc is getting stronger than ever. And of course, I have my notes, so I want to touch on this. If you're new to my content, let me tell you a little bit about what is happening with BRICS. So, as I mentioned, the US recently slapped 50% tariffs on Indonesia and Brazil. Sorry, India and Brazil, trying to protect the US dollar dominance. But this essentially is going to backfire on the US, and BRICS use this as a way to get even stronger within their geopolitical allyship. This is this has caused BRIC nations to retaliate. And how are they retaliating? Well, they are expanding trade in local currency instead of US dollars. I've been seeing it happen between Tanzania and India, trading in rubles and T shilling. They are building their new payment system, bypassing SWIFT. I believe it's already been built. They're using it. There are many systems that are bypassing SWIFT, and they're taking things seriously about a shared BRICS currency for cross border trade. And this is working, right? The dollar's share of global reserves has dropped from over 70% 2 decades ago to 58% today, and it's still slipping, meaning countries are not buying dollars to trade their commodities between other countries. They're trading in their own currencies and forging trade deals between their own leadership instead of going through the Federal Reserve using the SWIFT system. With the addition of Saudi Arabia, which is huge, and Iran, BRICS now controls a huge share of global oil and energy flows. We saw back in, I think it was June or July, where the US attacked Iran. And this essentially, again, backfired on the US. Adding Indonesia into the bloc, one of Asia's fastest growing economies and Africa's key players, and suddenly now BRICS represents 2/3 of the world's population and over 50% of the global GDP. This is bigger than the G7, and it's changing the rules. And so, one of the things that I notice when we talk about GDP, the US GDP is so strong because of the financial system, credit, These other countries don't operate with credit. It exists, so you can't discount it, but one must think and consider, what would the GDP look like in the US if there were no credit systems like there are not in other countries majoritarily represented, right, in the BRICS conglomerate? So, what does this mean for you if you're in America? Well, we've been talking about it. The prices of things and goods are going to continue to rise. I don't want this to feel abstract to you. This is showing up in your wallet already, and it's going to continue. The borrowing costs are going to continue to rise. Interest rates will not be going down anytime soon. If fewer countries buy US debt because people are cashing in their debt, their US debt, and fewer countries are buying it, interest rates are going to continue to rise. That means higher mortgages, car loans, and credit cards, making housing purchases less likelier than ever, right? More expensive goods. Of course, supply chains are shifting with these new tariffs. The cost of electronics, cars, and all imports are going to continue to rise. And weaker sanctions, right? The US is losing leverage when countries no longer need cheap imports. They don't need the dollar to trade, right? And so that dollar privilege that the US has been benefiting um, from because of its dollar privilege, these cheap imports, the global travel power, and lower borrowing costs is fading. This era is fading. And so, what does this look like on the continent of Africa? Well, for years, I've been telling you all to look at diversifying, whether you're diversifying your lifestyle, spending a part of your time outside of the US and in Africa to understand the culture, to understand the market, really to leverage your US dollar while it's still strong. This is what many people are missing. Africa is not next. It's not growing. It's not, next up. It's not on the sidelines. When I say it's not growing, meaning like it's not this dusty place that is trying to figure out how to turn on the lights. Africa is the fastest developing economy in the world. With South Africa, Egypt, and Ethiopia as strong key players with very strong economies, there's now a bigger adaptation from other countries like Uganda, Algeria, Zimbabwe, um, and Nigeria. Did I say Nigeria? With some of the strongest economies in the world. Why does this matter? Well, Africa controls critical resources, as we all know. You hear one of my critical resources in the background, right? But the rare earth minerals, agriculture, and energy comes from Africa. And it is also the most discovered, underexplored continent in the mineral sector. So while it's already listed as the richest, it hasn't even begun to be as explored as most of the other continents that provide other minerals to the world today. African nations are aligning with BRICS. Why? Because BRICS is set to help countries develop without the interference of Western infrastructure. So we're already seeing that within the West and the collapse of French interference in Western Africa. The BRICS system is helping economies develop and setting up a financial umbrella as well as a strategic support system to ensure that the Western influence can continue to dissipate under the BRICS regime, right? So to speak. So instead of just being suppliers, African countries are now positioning themselves to set the terms of trade. We're seeing that where Ghana has decided no longer to export raw materials. Botswana has decided to no longer export raw materials. Benin has decided to no longer export raw materials. Countries are taking a position and they are sticking to it with the support of the BRICS structure in place. And when Nigeria or Uganda join, alongside Saudi and the UAE, Africa's role becomes undeniable. Its position becomes unmatched. And the continent isn't just part of the conversation, it is the center of it. Okay? So, what does this now mean for Americans considering Africa? So, why does this matter? If you're an American entrepreneur, family, or investor, why should you care? Why should you be paying attention to BRICS? Using Africa as a diversification hedge is one of the best decisions that you can make. Yes, people are talking about moving abroad, they're talking about Bali, they're talking about Portugal, but Africa is not only a place that's going to afford you a better quality of life, better and more nutrient foods, you now get to take part in the growth of the fastest growing economy in the world, the continent of Africa. Now, each country is different, of course, but when you get involved and get associated and get settled in an African country, you're already on the right side of economic growth in history. A BRICS aligned African economy is going to benefit from these new trade flows, right? We're already seeing this happen in Tanzania as well. This is why I am diversified not only in South Africa, but in Tanzania, because of the global positioning that is happening and the entry into Eastern and Southern Africa as major global economic hubs. I keep telling y'all, right? Relocation here isn't just a lifestyle, it's strategically positioning yourself and your family in this new economy. And countries like South Africa, Egypt, and Ethiopia now have direct BRICS access, with more African countries adopting on a regular basis. And what else are we missing out? I think when we start talking about legacy, generational advantages, raising children in Africa now means raising them in the epicenter of the global South's rise. Having my children here in a growing, evolving economy means more opportunity. It means when they graduate and matriculate through their education system, they won't be getting out not knowing what to do, because they're going to be surrounded by economic advantages and opportunities that they get to see now. It's not just a lifestyle, it is strategically positioning yourself in the new economy. So this is why more and more Americans are asking me, Ashley, should I be looking at Africa as part of my relocation strategy? And I tell them, absolutely yes. We're helping dozens of high level investors and entrepreneurs, as well as professionals, diversify with their first mover advantage now through our Africa Wealth Strategy System. This is a private community. Only certain and selected people get into these strategic calls, because we have a very on-hand approach when we're working with these clients, because investing in Africa is a risk. It will continue to be a risk, as investing in anything is. But one of the things that you can start easily and free is by taking a look and heading to the Africa Relocation Roadmap. It's a free tool that I created, powered by AI, that will help you determine what African country is best for you based on your lifestyle needs, based on your financial needs, and based on your capital, the available capital that you have. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you decide you want to join the community to learn more and have a like-minded environment of people making the same moves that you're making, as well as curated job and contractor opportunities with different African governments, and job opportunities available to the high-level talent that is being attracted to the continent of Africa, you can join us inside the community while we still have founder pricing available. You know, when I decided to relocate to Africa, this was before the BRICS, headlines were everywhere, or, the conversation of Africa being the new global South center, the epicenter of economic development. I was just looking for a place where I felt better. It felt like there was more opportunity. The growth was still happening. Education was still developing, and relocation and legacy planning could happen. Now the world is slowly waking up. And what I saw early, that Africa isn't the future, Africa is the present epicenter of economic growth and the global power shift. And so that's why I've decided to guide families and entrepreneurs, investors, and professionals into the continent strategically with strategy, not stress, because this isn't for everyone. Everyone doesn't get to work with me. Everyone doesn't want to work with me. And that is fine. But if you're watching and you're wondering how to prepare properly, strategically, right, without the stress, how to protect your wealth, how to protect your time, and not put yourself in a position where you're running back 2, 3 years later because you didn't properly prepare. You want to position your children in the future of where this shift is happening. This is the moment to make a move. The Africa Relocation Roadmap is the framework that is going to show you how to do it step by step. Country selection, legal preparation, financial structuring, job opportunities, how to build your new life abroad with confidence, right? Not chaos. Click the link in the description and in the pinned comment to take a look at the roadmap that we've created specifically for you. All right. And so if you've found value in this video, be sure to like it, share it with someone else who finds value in it, and know that this is the best time ever to be putting your bet on the continent of Africa. Until the next video, I'll see you soon.